And like, how did you get into Formula racing and everything?
So I watched the Cars movie when I was 6 years old, the cartoon. Yes. When I was in cinema, that's what got actually my interest first. Then I saw Lewis Hamilton winning the World Championship in 2008. Then I asked my dad if I can go to a go-karting track. And then we went to Rye House in North London. And it's also where Lewis Hamilton started. Then it was just a thing for me and my father, just to race on the weekends in the club level, local level, just small little races on that track. Then once, we started winning at that level, then we decided, you know what, let's go to let's go to the British Championship. So when I did the British Championship in 2011, 2012, Lando Norris was there. He's 1 year older than me. I raced with Lando since 2010. So we're all racing karts, Piastri. There's so many people like that are now in Formula One. So when I was 12 years old, I won the British Super One karting championship. Oh. Then after that, I moved to Europe. I raced in Italy. So I was in Europe from 2013, 2014. My teammate was in Lando Norris. So in 2014, I was fighting for the European and World Go-Karting Championship. So then I was in the junior category. So my main rival was Mick Schumacher, Michael Schumacher's son. And who else now is in Formula One? Piastri, a few of these other guys. Lando was my teammate, but he was in the senior category. So in the senior category, you had George Russell, Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris. This is all back in 2014. So 11 years ago. So 2014, I was world champion in go-karts. I was European champion, and I won all the WSK championships, which is in Italy, so Italian championship. At that point, so Mick Schumacher came second to me in both European and World Championship. Then I went to Formula 4, so I got sponsored to do the British Formula 4 Championship when I was 15 years old in 2015. I won the Rookie Championship. I then went to Formula 3. I did the British Formula 3 Championship when I was 16, 17, around the time I left school. I was champion in British Formula 3 in 2017. My first year, actually, I raced for an Irish team. We nearly won it. But then second year, I went to another team and then won 13 races in a season. And then that's when I broke the record of Ayrton Senna, who had the most wins since 1983. And then I broke in 2017. After that, went to Japan. Actually, no, sorry, before that, I did European Formula 3 Championship 2018. Won a few races, 3 pole positions. Didn't have the funding to go to Formula 2. At that time, it was different to now. So then I went to Japan to become professional in Formula 3 in Japan. Lived in Tokyo. Then COVID happened. Moved to America. Couldn't go back to race in Japan. Borders were blocked for 2-3 years. Then lived in Indianapolis and was racing there from 2021 to 2023, halfway through. Then I came away from racing, and then now I'm here, and I manage drivers. Now I'm here.
So basically, for our audience, Formula is like a very expensive thing. It's not easy to get funding for it. So what are the costs, and how do you secure funding? How did you do that for yourself?
I was fortunate enough that my parents were able to get me through initially when I was karting, and then once I started winning at a good level, then sponsors started coming. First it was local, and then after that was bigger companies. But it's something that you have to go out and get yourself. So the results help, but if you're not able to be marketable and you can't speak well or things like that, believe it or not, I was a lot more quiet when I was younger. So I had to force myself to be better at being a salesman in a way, right? So, but the best place to get sponsorship actually was in the United States. So when I went to America, I went with nothing, right? I didn't even have a place to afford to live or anything. I was struggling to get through the races. I came to America when I was 21, did a few races, was with a small team. They ran out of money, they went bankrupt, so stopped. Then I was like, right, I'm in America. Got nothing. I can't even carry on to live in my apartment. Then I was living in my friend's house. And then one thing led to another, was moving from place to place. And then my friend told me, you should meet this guy. I was meeting different sponsors already. And he's an American-Pakistani investor called Zakir Khan. Lives in Indianapolis. And I met him at a Porsche event. So I went to the Porsche event, got talking to him, blah, blah, blah. Usually when you're getting a sponsorship or you're trying to sell someone something, you don't go in for the kill straight away. It never works. You have to build a relationship, yeah, and you have to get them to like you, yeah. Even if you look at anyone to do with business, if someone doesn't like you, more than likely they won't do business with you. At the end of the day, it's a transactional relationship in one way or another. So even though I was desperate and I had to get back into racing, I didn't show it. That's also really important. When I was like completely desperate and I couldn't do anything, yeah, I never showed it. And that's the most important thing. No one wants to help someone that's desperate, right?
Yeah, that's
so then it took about another 4 months, right, of building that relationship. And then eventually he was like, you know what? I heard from a few people. My friend actually, his name's Sajjad Shah. He's the founder. He's a founder of Minda, now called Salams. You know, the dating app, the Muslim dating app.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was a founder. He founded it. Yeah. He sold it quite a few years ago. And Muslims of the World. It's a big charity in America and a coffee shop. So anyway, so he introduced me to this guy. So then the guy said, look, Zach said, I heard you're a very good driver. You need some help. And where are you living? I said, nowhere at the moment. He said, you know what? Come live with me. And he had a, mashallah, beautiful mansion, right? He bought the house of Zach Brown, who's CEO of McLaren F1. So Zach Brown's house, yeah, not house, it was a mansion. He said, live in my guest house, yeah, where his housekeeper and everyone live there. I'll give you my car. He had 10 cars, right? The worst car he had was a Lincoln Navigator. He said, so I was like, okay. I said, initially it was a Porsche Panamera he gave me, right? He said, no, just take that. It's one of my girlfriend's cars, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, fine, I'll take that. And then funded my training. He gave me a chance to do one race, final race of Indy Pro in America. This is 2021 in mid-Ohio. Yeah, jumped in, hadn't been in the car all year. It was raining, luckily. And if I did a good job, he would fund me the next year. So in this scenario, when you enjoy something so much, you don't feel the pressure, right? And when you have faith in God, whatever happens, right? When you have faith in Allah, whether I was going to carry on racing or not, even though my whole life depended on it, it wasn't going to change who I am as a person. So I was happy one way or another. So I came to that race and I was like, got to make something work. And also, if I crash the car, I'm out. So you have to push like hell. You have to push to the limit, yeah, against all the guys who are pushing like this and they're fully funded. Yeah, if I did to give you an idea, one front wing on that car is like $25,000, right? That's one little damage. So if you write the whole car off, no, I don't pay for it, but you're done. Like the team's not going to pay for it. Do you know what I mean? They're like, you're out. So that's where the faith comes in, because I was willing to take the risk to go over the limit, and I put myself in a situation where I was like, Allah, like, if I'm going to crash, okay, fine, it's down to you. But I'm going to go over the limit, rely on you to keep me on the track, right? Anyway, got to the race, leading the race. It's raining, right? I bugged off in the lead by about 10 seconds. I'm like, fantastic, going to win my first race in America. It's like American dream, American comeback. A guy who, funny enough, a guy from Southern Ireland, Irish driver called James Rowe, yeah, he was the only one that put dry tyres on, right? And he's coming from the back and the track starts drying out. And when you're on rain tyres, if you watch Formula One, when you're on rain tyres with the treads, when it dries out, you wear slicks. But when a track's drying out, if you're on rain tyres, it's like 10 seconds slower a lap because the treads, they move and you lose all the grip. Yeah, the friction increases. The tyres can't handle that much heat. So he's coming and then he overtakes me on the second to last lap. So I finished second. Anyway, it was good enough. Secured the funding for next year. So Zach was sponsoring me 2022. 2022, I represented Pakistan as well in America. American racing had a lot of podiums. Finished third in the championship. Then went to 2023. Unfortunately, the funding wasn't as easily coming because to go to the next level was a lot more money required. And I was able to do 3-4 races, but then the funding finished after that because my sponsor had some reasons with his business that he couldn't carry on at the time. And then October 7th happened as well. So that made it difficult for a driver like myself because I was Pakistani flag, Muslim guy. No one said it to me explicitly, but I found that at that time it was a bit more difficult to get American sponsors, which is what I was relying on at the time. So then I came away from racing and then I started managing and coaching young drivers.
And you enjoyed that?
Yeah, I really enjoyed because all the mistakes I made in my racing, I teach them to the young drivers so that they don't make these same mistakes. And all the things I could have done better, I make sure they don't make these same mistakes. And I get the same satisfaction seeing someone young fulfill their dream as I did, whether it was me. And aside to that, when I was racing in Europe, I won the British Formula 3 Championship when I was 17. I went to Europe. Schumacher and myself, we were fighting for the European F3 Championship. This is Michael's son. This is 2018. In the beginning, I was leading the championship. In the second half, I didn't win the championship. So, and because I'm the driver where it's very hard, especially at that time, for a South Asian to get the marketing, to get the sponsorship to fund you. If I was, let's say, from a Khaliji country, it's a lot easier because obviously there's a lot more money in those countries, so Formula One has interest in those countries because they have races, they have Abu Dhabi, they have Saudi Arabia Grand Prix, Bahrain, Qatar now. They have so many races. So it was at a point where, I was not marketably seen viable, right? So it was difficult. I couldn't carry on anymore in Europe. So that was very heartbreaking for me because, I raced my whole life to be in Formula One, and I was very, very close. I mean, I met Toto Wolff when I was 14 years old. When I was world champion in karts, he invited me to Mercedes, and I met him again when I was 18, and they were looking at me. When I was winning races in Formula 3, I tested the Mercedes F1 simulator in Brackley, and I was doing some sim for Mercedes F1. I was also doing a lot of simulator work for Williams F1, so I used to be their simulator and test driver in the simulator side of things in 2018. So, for example, when Hamilton or Felipe Massa at the time was racing on the weekend, let's say in Barcelona or like this weekend in the United States, I would be in the factory in Brackley or Williams is in Oxford, and any problem they have with the car, they would relay that information back to the team in the factory, and I would then drive the car on the simulator from 9 o'clock at night till about 4 a.m. I would see what I feel is the issue with the balance, where we're lacking. We would then try many different solutions, and out of the solutions, we would pick one or two that seems to be the best. They then take that information, they send it back overnight to the racing team, and then on Sunday for the Grand Prix, whatever we decide, Felipe Massa, Valtteri Bottas would be racing on that setup. So that was my job, right, at that time. And I was 18. It was a very nice job at 18. I really enjoyed it, right? I learned a lot because in racing, from a young age, you had to deal with adults. And you had to learn to grow up very fast and give very concise information. And what I learned, believe it or not, when I was doing some work in Formula One was it's very easy to overcomplicate things. And you delegate tasks to certain people. So, for example, in Williams, I had about 6-7 engineers working, and they'd all be watching everything I was doing and relying on my feedback. And a mistake young drivers make is they overcomplicate the feedback. Right, they say, okay, high speed, the car pitches too much, I have too much oversteer on entry, in the low speed I have understeer here, it bottoms here, blah, blah, blah. The engineers don't want that. They want a rough guideline, and then it's their job to look into detail, because they have the qualification, not us. So I actually learned, if you keep it more simple, and you get straight to the point, leave it to them to come with a solution. It's not my job at the end of the day. And in life, what I learned from that was, always have good people around you who are very talented. If you're not good enough at many things, hire people who do. So I always have people around me who are better than me because I'm not good at everything. I'm not good at many things, to be honest with you. So I always have people around me that are better. I know I have some strength in certain things, but then I hire people or I've worked with people who are amazing in other things. So that's what I learned being involved with Formula One at that stage. That was very good to learn at 17, 18,
And you were a Formula 3 driver, right?
Yeah.
So, how do you categorize, this is Formula 3, this is Formula 2, what kind of cars are you usually talking about? What's the maximum speed those cars can hit? What are the regulations and all that regarding these? So,
now, since Drive to Survive, Formula 2, so everything's owned by Formula 1, right? So, Formula 2, 3 and 4 is all sanctioned by the FIA, which is in Paris, which is the governing body of Formula 1. So, Formula 2, 3 and 4 are all slightly slower, Formula 4 being the slowest, because it's like a car that 15-year-olds drive from going from go-karts into car racing. So obviously they're not going to be super fast. 15-year-old will
As you
kill
just
himself.
come,
You know what I mean?
The cars get fast.
But they're still quick. I mean, Formula 4 does 160 miles an hour.
And if somebody wants to start in Formula, what age are we looking at? When do most
Any
drivers?
age you can do. But if you want to go to Formula 1, I mean, you have to be in Formula 4 by age 16, 17, 18 maximum.
So you have to be it's a young man's sport, not a...
Yeah. But if you want to be a professional in GT3, Le Mans, or IndyCar, you can be much later, much later. So you can be in your 20s or early 20s, I'd say. Yeah.
That's interesting. What's your like favorite race that you've done?
So, sorry, going back to the Formula 2, Formula 3. So when you go to Formula 3, it's the first time you experience a car with a lot of downforce, a lot of development, a lot of power, and the minimum speed in Silverstone in some of the corners when I did Formula 3 was the same as Formula 1. You just have less power. So I was with Mercedes. I had a Mercedes engine. So, the cars were incredible. Formula 3 is actually nicer to drive than Formula 2 because the car is much lighter. Yeah. So you can throw it around a lot more. Formula 2, you get a lot less practice. You get 4 days of practice before the first race. That's it.
4 days.
4 days, that's it. So Formula 3 actually was the same. Formula 3, we got 6 days. Yeah. So it's really down to the talent. So it's who jumps in and gets on with it. At that kind of racing, you really do put your balls on the line because, you don't have time to think. You have to get on with it. You don't have time to I didn't practice enough or this or that, blah, blah, blah. No. We're all there fighting for our careers. We're all there to get to F1. And, we just do the best we can. And I loved it because I didn't feel as it was a pressure. I enjoyed it so much because, look, if you don't have something to fight for, you have nothing to live for. Because it was so hard, that's what made it so fun. Because it's like, when you do succeed, it's so hard to succeed. And eventually I won races and whatever. It's a lot more rewarding, right? Then Formula 2 is much faster. Formula 2 you do about 200 miles an hour. But they have a lot of downforce like Formula 1. But, the funding to do Formula 2 is very, very high. So that's why after Formula 3, there was no backing for drivers like myself. Like nowadays, Formula 1 teams, they put a lot of investment into young drivers straight from go-karts. In my day, back in 2017-18, before pre-Drive to Survive era, it wasn't like that. All the teams were skint and running out of money. So they couldn't invest in the young drivers. If I did what I did now, I would have been signed by Red Bull or Mercedes at 14 years old. And I would have been funded all the way to Formula 2. Guaranteed. And then it's up to me whether I perform or not.
Like, what's the rough estimate of like the funding you get? Like in 100,000, 200?
Well, if you're really good, they fund everything. So they not only fund the season, they fund your training, living cost, everything. But Formula 4 now is about 500,000 to do it, right? Formula 3 is around 2 million euros to do it. Formula 2, you're talking about 4 million euros per season. And crash damage separate. So if you crash the car a few times, they have to pay for it.
They have to pay for it?
Yeah, they have to pay for it. So that's why, I had funding to a certain level. And then once I couldn't go to the next level, finished, I went to Japan. And Japan, you can be professional, have a long career there, which was my goal at the time. But then the COVID happened after. I moved to Japan when I was 18. I was living there 2019. And then COVID happened 2020. So I did a good job my first year. I won a few races, finished third in the championship, had a contract for the following year. I couldn't get back in the country. And a lot of the foreign drivers like myself who left for Christmas, I came back here to see my family. When we tried to get back in February, March, couldn't get back because of COVID. They closed the borders for 2-3 years.
Nice. And I grew up watching races, maybe because of Fast and Furious, Karting and all that. But when I used to watch races, I used to think you have so many people outside, they're chanting your name, they have expectations. Like how do the drivers, when they're in the room getting ready for the race, they deal with it? Like what's the feeling like? What do you do to control the pressure? Like how is it like?
To be honest,
behind the curtains?
Where my life has changed, leaving racing as a driver, right? It was also a good thing. Allah does things in many different ways, right? So I needed to come away from racing because I think it was good for me to learn. When you're a racing driver, you have to be very selfish. You have to be very, very selfish, very single-minded. And you have to be very ruthless. But that brought some qualities which wasn't great, I left racing. He brought me to America for a reason, because I learned about Islam when I went to America. That's what brought me to religion. He put me next to a masjid. I didn't know anything about Islam. I'm born Muslim, right? But I didn't know anything because I left home at a young age. So brought me to a masjid. I went inside one day when I was 21. I said, can you teach me how to pray? I don't even know how to pray. And all my bestest friends I made were there. And changed my whole life. And in a way, he does something for you out of mercy, right? So pulling me away from the racing, I think, was a mercy because it protected me from a lot of the bad things I can get involved with, right? But going back to it, your question was, does it affect you? When I was racing, no, because you were so selfish and I just only cared about me succeeding and winning the race. I didn't care about anything outside of that. So I wouldn't even look. I was just so like...
I need to get done with this race.
I was so focused on
the race
braking
itself.
as late as I can, attacking every corner the most I can, being courageous, even though you're scared before every race, still pushing past the fear. I never even looked outside that. Like, so I would never even notice it, to be honest with you. I would
Like
never even
that's how
it.
much invested you are in the race.
Yeah, that's how much. We were so ruthless. We were all fighting with each other, crashing into each other. It was so like, it was good.
You just don't care.
Yeah, it was really
I
fun.
need to win, and that is
Exactly, yeah. That's the motorsport thing, yeah.
Any race of your own that like you think is a special race that you've raced?
I'd say, believe it or not, most Formula One drivers, including Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, ask any of them, what do they say is like the best, hardest thing to win outside of Formula One is the Karting World Championship, because you have the most drivers, you race most people who can't afford or have the funding to go into Formula 4, Formula 3. The Karting World Championship has thousands of people come to do it. You start on the Monday and the grand final is on the Sunday. It's a knockout period. So you start with like 1,000 people. And when you get to the grand final, it's the final 50. Whoever crosses the line first is the world champion. So that's a free-for-all.
Where does that race take place?
It changes every year. This year it's going to be in Bahrain. When I did it was in France. And so when I did it, it was me and Schumacher, Mick, we were fighting for the championship. And we were fighting, it was raining the whole race. And then I crossed the line first, so I became world champion. Hamilton won it as well. And that's one of the hardest races in the world to win, because just so many kids, drivers that you'll never see for the rest of your life. Yeah, you'll never see them again, because most of them never even get the chance. But that's the point. It's fathers and sons in these teams all going for one title. And when you have that many people, all had years of experience, all for that one race, no one cares about second in the World Championship. It's only who crosses the line first. And I was very lucky, and alhamdulillah, God made it so easy for me that weekend, because when I went into that weekend, I'd previously won the European Championship. So I was like, I don't really care if I win the World Championship, because it's so hard to win it. And it's the likelihood of everything going right that whole week. It's so like not normally supposed to happen. Always something goes wrong. That's like everyone knows, right? It was my smoothest weekend the whole year. I got pole position. I won all the heats, pre-final and final. I had a problem in the final when my engine wasn't warmed up properly, so I had to reset the carburetor while I was on track. But he made it easy for me. But the only time I got nervous in that race weekend was in the grand final. It was me, Schumacher was next to me, I had Piastri there, Logan Sargent, I had quite a few guys that were in F1. And we were all fighting for the same thing, yeah? And you had 50 guys behind you. And in the World Championship, because it's only about who crosses the line first, they all try and shove you off. So in the first two corners, if you don't cover it properly and you're not strong enough to hold it when they hit you up the back, they just fire you off and then you're out of the race. Because they want to get rid of you, especially if you've been fast. In go-karts, you can have a lot more contact. So, you have to be braced. I knew they were going to launch me into turn 2. They were going to try and send me so hard and put me in the wall, because then I'm out of the race. And then they don't have to worry about me anymore. But alhamdulillah, they launched me, but God made it easy for me to be able to hold it. Yeah, and then it was raining, and I've always been good in the rain, so then I won it. And then
That's interesting. If you look at like other sports, we see that the opponents, they try to get in the head of their opponent, like they would trash talk, try to manipulate. Do you get that like in racing as well? Or do you don't have that?
No, because I used to wind people up.
Oh.
That was what I used to do. I used to really annoy people. But just naturally, I just used to, like, I was not going out of my way to be... Look, if I thought you were a difficult person and you were also arrogant driver, I would deliberately just try and annoy you in any way I could, really. For example, on the formation lap, I'd just drive right next to you and I'd hit you.
Oh.
Yeah, and if I was in go-karts, if you were next to me and the spark plug, you know, you have in an engine, you have a spark plug?
Yeah.
Yeah? You have the coil on top, yeah? I'd I'd reach and I'd pull the spark plug cap off and then you're out.
You can even do that?
Yeah, you can do that, yeah.
I wish I was a Formula
I just annoy you. That's what I do. Just try and... And then you have someone that try and hit you back, and then I just hit them back. And then you'd have a fight off the track. And that was also normal in go-karts. There's many videos on YouTube. Have a look of fights with mechanics, with the drivers, and it was great.
Yeah, like if you could annoy somebody, that means you can get in their head.
Yeah.
And you can make them act in a certain way. But like people who like emotionally calm, you cannot mess around with them.
No, to an extent, but you can fluster them on the track. But I didn't go out of my way to fluster people necessarily, but it's just if they were difficult or arrogant, I just wanted to annoy you a bit more. But if you were genuinely respectful and nice and race clean, then I wouldn't do it to you. But Schumacher and myself, we don't like each other, right?
So
to be honest, like, I mean, I don't mind him, right? But we never been friends, right? Because we raced each other our whole lives. And we were both fighting for the same thing. And we both were dirty to each other, right? I was fighting him for the German championship. And you can imagine how political that was. Because Michael Schumacher had the skiing accident, ended 2013. His son, me and him were fighting for the championship 2014. And there was times where I got a lot of penalties, right? Which I felt were not true. Some were, yeah, I deserved it. But some were not. And I didn't win it in the end, for example. Because there was, there's a lot of things like that. And we were really harsh with each other. We would push each other off the track all the time. And yeah, it was good. But it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Do you think like Formula in the future would be going towards like electric racing? We hear that a lot.
No, because you have Formula E. And second of all, a big part of Formula One why people watch is the sound. If they completely get rid of the sound, the atmosphere is gone. And also, apart from that, now Formula One's going to 100% renewable fuel, which is not made from crude oil anymore. Yeah, and the cars now have 100% renewable fuel.
And what's that renewable fuel?
It's synthetic fuel. I don't know exactly the technology behind it, but it's not from crude. The cars now are on it already.
And they don't like cause emissions or like...
I think they cause emissions, but a lot less. But then again, if you look at an electric car, how much it costs, the pollution it costs to put a battery together, to then plug it in as well, it's actually a lot more. And the mining of the nickel.
And just like you said, like people wouldn't watch it. Like everybody watches it for the sound. Like the sound that you get from gasoline engines, you cannot get it from like electric.
No, you can't get it now.
What do you like? What are your opinions on like electric vehicles in general?
I don't like it. Every time I'm in a Tesla or something, I get car sick. I can't do electric cars.
I just don't like electric vehicles.
Even in an Uber, if it's electric, I always get car sick. I don't know why, I just don't like it.
Yeah.
Don't like.
Like when you're driving a gasoline engine, a big part of that is like the voice, and you feel like more in control. But with like electric, you could just sit there and drive it by yourself. There's no fun.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Did you ever watch like Top Gear growing up?
I love Top Gear. The original Top Gear with Clarkson on BBC.
Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah, that was the best one. The new one I didn't like, the Grand Tour. I used to watch it religiously because I just really liked it, and it was quite fun, to be honest. I like the humour. You don't have that humour nowadays on TVs anymore.
Yeah, I used to watch it growing up as well, and like it's what actually got me into like cars. The first was like watching movies, then Fast and Furious, and then Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah.
Like I remember we used to have this show like 7 in the morning on National Geographic, and my school was at 9. I was up at 6, so I could watch him.
Wow.
That's how interested I was in at that time.
And they were very funny for their time.
Yeah, they were.
They were.
Like the humor of Clarkson does.
Yeah, they were very good.
One more thing, like you've got the Formula and you've got another category that we call Le Mans.
Yeah.
Most of our audience might not know about Le Mans. So like what are the basic differences between the two? So
Formula One, single-seater racing cars, full development, as you see on TV. Then you have separate to that, you have something called the World Endurance Championship, also sanctioned by the FIA. A lot of ex-Formula One drivers do it, or current ones, even Alonso does it as well. You have 3 classes. You have hypercar, which are the fastest cars on track. They used to be called LMP1, which is Le Mans prototype, which I like the cars, they honestly look like spaceships. You have LMP2, which is slightly slower, they still look like spaceships, they're really fast. They're LMP1 or hypercar is nearly as fast as Formula 1 on a racetrack. They're very fast. And they have a lot of downforce. Then you have a GT3, which is like the racing versions of the cars you can buy for the road. So whether it's from Ferrari, Lamborghini, Audi, BMW, Mercedes, you have I think now for Ferrari it's a 488 GT3 or F80, whatever it is. The Mercedes is the GT. They have the racing version of that. So it's all the cars you see, they have a racing version. And all 3 classes, they race on track at the same time. And so that means when you're in a 24-hour race, Le Mans is a 24-hour race, you share the car with about 3 or 4 other drivers. You all do 1-hour stints and you're constantly rotating. And for example, let's say you're racing GT3. I did a race for Aston Martin. I did a 9-hour race in Kailani, right? And you'll be driving, and then LMP2 or a hypercar will come behind you, and they're like 15 seconds a lap quicker, and they just blow past you. But you have to be aware, because when we get tired, we all make mistakes. So sometimes they'll try and overtake you in a very fast corner, which is a lot of risk for both cars. And you see so many crashes where a GT3 and a hypercar crash, and they have a huge crash.
And they all are racing like in the same time.
In the same time it can be a 9-hour race or a 24-hour race. But when you do world endurance, the teams, they're looking for something different, where there's some guys, like we race Formula 3, Formula 2, Formula 1, and they're very good in those 1-hour sprint races. But in an endurance, you have to change your mindset a little bit, because you have to push like hell every lap. But at the same time, you have to be reliable, because you can't crash. Because imagine you're 10 hours into the race and you have an accident with a hypercar or LMP2 or with someone else. And when you're racing in the night, you don't have floodlights. You're only relying on the headlights and you're going very fast. And it's very easy when you get tired to get caught off guard and a car arriving much faster. You
don't know until it hits you.
Yeah, so you have to be very... It's a different style of racing completely.
And like when we hear about like Formula racing, what measures have you taken to like promote this sport, especially among brown people? Like growing up, brown parents want you to be either of the three things: a doctor, an engineer, or like a civil service bureaucrat. Anything apart from that is like not too good. And like even when it comes to racing, we lack like proper infrastructure and all those things. So we have like illegal races. Racing is something that is usually frowned upon by parents. Because it's dangerous to like illegal race on streets where you have people. So like what measures have you taken and you would like to take in order to promote the sport? Like this is a proper sport in the world, but over there they just consider it dangerous.
I mean, from that point of view, India is very far ahead. So you see a lot of drivers now coming from India, right? Young ones, like between the ages of 13 to 16. My partner and myself had a racing team in the UAE, in Dubai. We had a lot of drivers coming from India and fully funded, by the by the Pune government or big. They spend a lot of money in racing, and it's sad because Pakistan is nothing, like zero. I mean, there's never really been a driver. There's been a few before, but not like, for example, the intake of Indian drivers. I can name you about 20 here, racing in the UK. I can name you another 25 racing in Dubai. There's not one coming from Pakistan at the moment. I mean, they have a track. A few tracks in the different cities for go-karting, but there's no, they don't do, for example, in karting, you have the professional style karting, which is where they're very fast. You tune the engines yourself, you do the chassis, everything. It's like, it's like a mini F1, and they're very fast. That's what people race. In India, they have their own championship, Indian National Championship for karting.
Have their own championship.
Yeah, and there's quite a few drivers coming. They have so many racetracks. They've put a lot of money into it. And in Pakistan, we have some tracks, but they race what we call rental carts, which is where anyone can come. You can go to the track in Karachi, you can go to the track in Islamabad, you can go anywhere. You arrive, you pay, I don't know, is it 5,000 rupees or 4,000, whatever it is, or 2,000 rupees.
That's expensive for like the normal people.
It's expensive,
It's like a rich kid's hobby.
And you drive the go-kart for like 20 minutes, but they maximum do 30, 35 miles an hour. I've been pushing, along with my partner from Dubai, to do some kind of racing, but unfortunately in Pakistan there's a lot of bureaucracy, and I found it very difficult. I tried for many years in the last 4 years to do something, and every time I get very close, always something blocks it, right? And it's very sad. There was a few drivers that I took from Pakistan in 2022, end of 2022. I took them to do an endurance race in Dubai, so fully funded. We took 7, 8 drivers from Pakistan, from the track in Karachi. They did like a trial to bring as many people who wanted to go, and the fastest guys we took, and we had a good time. But never been able to do that since. And when I compare that to India, where it's obviously the economy is a lot better, so people, they're able to do it. Yeah, unfortunately not yet, but. Honestly speaking, the few Pakistani drivers that I have come across, mashallah, they're very talented. They're very, very talented.
Like when you look at like Pakistani children, you've got a lot of talent. You've got talent for football. You've got talent for everything. But the problem is the government is only willing to fund one thing, and that's cricket. But they have to like look at other sports as well. Maybe it's like time to like we have to switch from just cricket. Cricket is developed. And we've like spent a lot of money on that. maybe it's time that we should start developing other sports, like where you can make money.
Yeah.
The government could literally make good amounts of money. Just imagine like you're funding sponsoring Formula race someday in Pakistan.
I think, for example, I'll give you an idea. I'll give you an example. The FIA, they do a race called Champions of the Future, where they hold a world championship round in up-and-coming countries. They did it in Mexico a few years ago. In 2022, my partner and I, they said yes. They wanted to do the race in Pakistan.
They wanted to do the race?
Yeah. Bin Sulaim and the guys from the FIA said, we'll do it in Pakistan. The world championship.
And then what happened? Bureaucracy?
Bureaucracy. You know where it is? Where it happened? Where it's going to be this year? India.
India?
India, yeah.
Whereabouts in India?
I don't know. One of the tracks. But it doesn't matter. But it's happening. It's all done. Now the president of the FIA for that CIK karting event is actually an Indian guy. But that's how close we were. And because of the bureaucracy, it didn't happen. Think about how big that would be for the country. You have all the racing drivers from Europe, the next Verstappens, the next Hamiltons. In 8 years, those guys are going to be in Formula One. They're all coming to Pakistan to do the World Championship. And they said yes.
But bureaucracy.
But bureaucracy. Can you believe that?
I found it hard to believe that.
No, but that happened.
But still I have to believe that.
Yeah, that's what exactly
Talking about Verstappen and Hamilton.
Yeah.
Which one do you like more?
Verstappen or Hamilton?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was a Lewis fan growing up. Yeah. So he was the reason why I got into racing. But I think Verstappen is the best of all time. And the best and most naturally talented.
Verstappen?
Yeah, Verstappen, yeah. Because when I used to watch him in go-karts as well, the guy was a monster. He was unbelievable. And his dad was so hard on him.
I've seen him race. Verstappen. And his style is like very aggressive.
Very aggressive, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, as much as we're enjoying this conversation and we would like it to go forever, but the thing is we're short on time. So now we'll be moving towards the Q&A. For anybody who wants to ask questions, feel free. You've got a question?
Yeah, I'll get the mic for you. You can relax. Relax and sit down. Can I also just say, for those who are online, we've got quite a few online, just to say that apologies for the technical non-start. You are live with us now, and it was only 5 minutes in. But just to remind those online, the chat is not being monitored. Any questions, send an email to radio@bill.ac.uk. Question over here.
Yeah.
So I just want a quick question. How can we pursue the Formula car racing in Pakistan? Like, we are few guys, we are really into the car racing, but the people are usually like cricket, and that's craze of cricket only. We can't focus on football or Formula car racing. What can we do about it? How can we like pursue? We should go.
The best advice, which what I want to do next, is to do a kind of school, right? But even if it's not for drivers initially, to get people who want to be engineers in Formula One, anyone that wants to be involved in Formula One team, that's what my next thing, what I'm trying to do right now. So in a way, it's kind of like, you know how you guys are all here in this university? Yeah. Anyone who's doing engineering and wants to get involved in motorsport engineering, we can take them from Pakistan to put them in the Loughborough Motorsport University, yeah? And they can train with all the future engineers of Formula One, then they can apply to the jobs to hopefully get into Formula One teams. And then they can start with engineers. Once we start on an engineering point of view, at that point, later down the line, we can focus on the drivers. Because if I'm honest, right now, the infrastructure, the way the country works, even with the private companies, they don't really have enough to fund. Well, they do have enough, but they keep it. That's another story. But they don't really want to spend on this kind of things yet. But, inshallah, with the way the country goes, if it keeps going in this upward trend, which I see recently in the last few months seems to have a lot of interest into the country, then not just Pakistan, in the whole South Asia, in all the countries, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in so many places now. Like, for example, they want to build a track in Iraq, yeah, which I know somebody wants that I'm involved that they want to do, right? In now Oman, they're doing another track. There's a big interest. The point is not just Pakistan. The point is all that region, South Asia, Middle East, is if we can somehow first start with the engineers and then the drivers come after. That's how I think is the best way.
That's a lovely idea. Yeah. We just want to get out of this cricket mindset. So the second question is that what are you going to do these days? Like you said, you don't have any sponsorship at the moment and you just stop racing. What have you achieved at the moment is remarkable. I was just looking at the Instagram and you're amazing. Why are you like what's your plan for the future now? Yeah?
So I now have a management company and a consulting company. So it's called Elite Driver Development.
Right.
We take drivers from all over the world. My partner is a gentleman called Dan Hazelwood. He has the best racing team for karting and now Formula racing in the UK. They've won many world championships. I used to race for him when I was young, like 13, 14, yeah? He's the best because he's so calm. He's the best with young drivers. So many F1 drivers have come through him. I always wanted to be with him, and now we're in charge of finding talent, managing talent from go-karting from 13, 14 years old, all the way from Formula 4, Formula 3, Formula 2, all the way to Formula 1. And we want to give them the best roadmap. So not only we plan their career, we sign them with the best teams for their career. We train them, we media train them, we prepare them. So all our secret, which we don't talk about, is how we prepare them. So all the protocol which I used to have, which Dan has as well, we give the best simulator preparation, the best of everything, cognitive function. We put it into all one package, and we give that to our drivers, and God willing that they succeed in their life. And basically that's what we're trying to do. And the goal now is at some point is to, we're trying to find drivers from all over the world. And that's what we're trying to do. We'll be from Pakistan, we'll be from Afghanistan, Iraq, it doesn't matter.
Inshallah.
Anywhere. If you're good,
yeah.
most important thing, if you're good at what you do and you want to work hard, doesn't matter where you come from, I will always help you. Do you know what I mean? You know, I don't believe in, because I experienced it in my career where, like, you know, I wasn't supported because I was South Asian. At the end of the day, if I was a Saudi driver or anything, and there's never been a driver from this region, not yet. But if I won what I'd won and I'd been from that country, obviously I'd have a lot of support. But it's not in people's best interest at the moment in Formula 1. But I promised myself, whatever happened in my career, the next kid, he's not going to have this problem. Do you know what I mean? So that's the most important thing.
Right, so as I told you, we are a few guys, we are into the Formula racing, not that much, but hopefully we'll contact you in future. And
with Barra, we're going to do something.
Yeah, so we want to do something about it. Thank you very much, and best of luck for your future. Thank you.
100%. I think, we've got two here, so I'm going to just move on to Andrea.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Andrea. I really want to ask a really superficial question, so apologies if it takes up time for somebody else who's got a real question. So I went to see the F1 film with the gorgeous Brad.
Yeah.
And my abiding memories of racing is on a Saturday with my dad being absolutely bored stiff and thinking that there was wasp nests around the area because that noise that you spoke about was, you know, ever present. But I was surprised at how much I really enjoyed that film.
Yeah.
And I was shocked at the amount of detail of behind the scenes. And I just wondered how Formula 3 and Formula 1 differed in that way, because there was a lot of backbiting, a lot of, you know, even with teammates, etc.
Yeah.
So I just wondered how it compared and how it compared to reality as well.
So it's exactly the same, bottom line. Formula 3, all the best drivers are controlled by Formula 1 teams, and it's all controlled by Formula 1. So the bureaucracy is exactly the same, and everyone's trying to get one another, and everyone's trying to beat one another. So it's exactly the same.
But is it as exciting as it seemed in the film?
Yeah.
Because although there was a lot of backbiting, there was also a lot of camaraderie, and it was just nice to see
that camaraderie is
balance the other.
that camaraderie is very rare.
Okay.
It's a lot of that, like exactly like you said.
Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Joan, the principal, and I'm very happy to be here. I love learning, and I've learned so much today. Thank you so very much. I was struck by what you said about the importance of getting people to like you and building a relationship, and what an amazing interviewer, because he really got an awful lot and a lot out of you. I had a question. Obviously, our students aren't in a motorsport race, but they also have their challenges coming up against obstacles, things they need to overcome. It's a long stretch, 3 years. You've got to go around the track a few times.
Yeah.
What's your sort of one or two top tips for people when they really encounter challenges?
The most important thing when you have the challenges is you never know how long it's going to go for and how many more is going to come. I mean, the mistake I made when I was younger was when a challenge would come, sometimes I'd think, oh yeah, it's going to be like, once this is gone, everything's going to be great. No. But then what I learned is every obstacle that came, I learned to enjoy it, because that's what made the reward, if it did happen, so much better. And even though, yes, okay, I didn't end up succeeding in America, bottom line. But looking back on it, going through that fight, and my friend James Rowe, Irish driver, he was fantastic at raising money. And he could talk the legs off a donkey. I've never seen someone like him. Yeah, he has all the Irish companies, all of them, they support him in America. And he was the best. He took me all across America, and he taught me how to get sponsorship, right? But even doing that and getting a lot of no's, because, okay, when you go for a sponsorship, out of 1,000 people, 1,000 companies or people you try, I only end up getting 3 or 4. But you have to keep going and keep going and keep going. But that's the enjoyable part at the same time.
Oh, great. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Hey, Kimberly, yeah. Excuse me.
Great, awesome. So I'm curious, for someone that actually used to work for Endeavour, we almost purchased Formula One outright and did some production on F1. I'm curious from an American perspective in the marketing sense, because I do want to try to help this. I am very interested, that if there's a channel through the American market, as we know, we're very keen on social justice and even getting to know the drivers a little bit more, that there is a channel either through the sponsorships or just the American public in general to put light on Pakistan to kind of deliver this motion forward. I just have some gears running, so I would like to kind of hear maybe some wins in the American market or some blockades, and to kind of give me some perspective. That'd be great. Thank you.
There's Roger Penske, the president of IndyCar and owner of Indianapolis Circuit. He did an initiative, and they've been funding a few African-American drivers. One of them, called Miles Rowe, is very good. Unfortunately, at the moment in Europe and in America, in the world, from a point of view of South Asian drivers, there's nothing. There's nothing at the moment. So, inshallah, hopefully that comes in the future. But that's where we are at the moment.
And then the second question is, do you ever foresee possibly a woman driver in F1?
100%, we're quite close already.
Yeah.
One of the drivers I coached about 3 weeks ago in Barcelona was a very good German girl. She's going to be doing F1 Academy next year.
Very nice.
And she's very good. I wouldn't be surprised if she wins that.
Okay.
She's very good.
Great.
Yeah, there's a few good ones coming.
Love the chat afterwards. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah. Excuse me as I jump around. Thank you.
So I have a question which is somehow related to the business aspect, because most of the from the business side, the future entrepreneurs. So from your experience, what are some tips or the main points you can give us regarding the funding while we are going to start our new startup or in the field? Like you are in the racing side, but we are going to be in the something different field, but we need some funding or something. So how you can relate it with your experience and some tips to target for the better funding processes?
So never undersell yourself, one, and know your value. People will always make you feel like you're less valuable. And if they don't see your value, you never be arrogant to them. You never say this to them. But in your own head, if someone doesn't want to do it or whatever, you never make that devalue yourself. Always know that you're actually worth, but you have to be careful this doesn't come across, You don't talk in an arrogant way when you're doing a sales pitch. But know deep down that your value is 10 times more than even what you think, And have not only faith, but belief in your product or belief in your talent. So for me, my product was my commodity that I was selling was my talent at the end of the day, right? And I still to this day believe I'm one of the best in the world at racing, right? And I've proven it even before I proved it. I believed it. There was times where I didn't believe it, but I quickly corrected myself, right? In a way, affirmations, right, what people say, it's actually very powerful. I don't go out of my way doing affirmations, but what you say to yourself really does come into fruition. So if you think about yourself in a negative way, it comes across, right? So I had very good coaches, one of them called Terry Fullerton. He was very hard on me, but, he made me believe that I was a world champion before I was a world champion, and that way of thinking that belief and that conviction. First it starts as a belief, then the belief becomes a conviction. When you're convicted of something, or you're convinced, sorry, when you're convinced, don't be convicted. When you're convinced of something, it comes across, right? If you know your product's good, if you're selling, like the guys that sold BlackBerry, no one had ever seen anything like it, but they knew what they were talking about was good. Most people can't see it. That's their problem. If they can't see the vision, they're blind. That's their problem. But you don't be arrogant to them. It's not that. That's just the way it is. But eventually someone will see it. Someone saw it for me. Someone will see it for you. It's the same thing.
So just for the inspiration, in your early stages, how many times you were rejected?
Like I said, in America, out of 1,000, over the 3 years, 1,000 companies, I'd say, nearly 1,000, between 950 to 1,000 companies I approached and I met. In-person pitches was about 150 in person. Only 3 really fully landed. Yeah.
That's inspiration.
Yeah.
It's an interesting start. Yeah, we've got a question over here.
Yeah. Yeah. I really
Exactly.
appreciate and I'm moved about all your comments. It's been very great to hear that. It inspired me as well. I would first of all want to ask, what position is Africa in this area of the speed? That's number one. And my second question goes this way. How much does it really cost for the tracking? Because sometimes when I look it in the TV, I get amazed.
Yeah.
How many acres of lands have they used in planning this? You never mentioned anything related to that. So I would like you to enlighten me more.
So for Formula One and Lewis Hamilton, at the moment, there's a track being built in Africa for an African Grand Prix. I don't know which country. I don't know if it was Rwanda or one of those. There's already a track in South Africa. It's Rwanda. It's Rwanda, isn't it? Yeah. So there's already a track in South Africa. I've raced in the track in South Africa. It's very nice. In terms of cost, yeah, the land is big. To maintain the track, it's expensive. I think it's. I know how much Brazil pays. So the Sao Paulo track in Brazil, they spend 40 million a year. Wow. Yeah, and most of that 40 million is going to Formula One. You know, just to keep it maintained to Formula One standards. But if you look at the tourism aspect that comes out of it, I was actually funny enough. So someone I was with was Brazilian yesterday, and I was talking to him about this. Who lives in Sao Paulo? He's in racing, and I was asking him about this. The city of Sao Paulo makes so much back in a year that they're making double what they're putting in. You know, from those 2 weeks the Formula One is there. So yeah, I mean it depends, but yeah, I think it's really good for Africa. I think Africa, there is definitely a race coming. I already know that. So and I think it's going to be great for the country.
For clarity, 40 million reais or 40 million pounds?
Hang on,
No, dollars.
Try not to talk without the mic because they can't hear you online.
My name is Abdul Wahab Zahir, and I'm a business management student at Bloomsbury Institute. First of all, thank you so much for spending your precious time and sharing your beautiful journey with us. My question is that reflecting on your journey, can you share how it feels to be in the position where you are now, especially considering that it was once your goal to achieve? So how does it feel? I mean, how does it feel? How's the satisfaction of reaching this milestone?
It's a very good question because it's complicated because I didn't reach the goal I set out when I was 8 years old, which was to be a Formula One driver. So when I came away from racing in 2023, there was a good period of time where I felt like I failed for a long time. And it took me, nearly a year to kind of get over that. And Allah does things in many, many different ways, right? So getting over that and understanding that, to be honest, he did everything for a reason, right? And achieving all these milestones, like you said, alhamdulillah, I'm very thankful I even got the chance to start into racing. Because like I said, when you're racing, it's so selfish. You don't look at what you've been given already. And I'd been given a chance to even race to Formula 3 and then go to Indy in America, right? I was living in Indianapolis, right? And most kids don't even get that. So I was looking at it the wrong way. Once I understood that, I then realized, you know what, at the end of the day, what's the most important thing? You know, if you can't have a family, you can't enjoy your time with your family, or, inshallah, get married, have an amazing family with kids, that's really the best thing in life. All these other things, I see so many drivers like that I've grown up with, they're all still, they're not married later in their life, and they don't all necessarily have a family anymore because they sacrifice everything to race. And actually, believe it or not, half the guys in F1 that I know, they're all depressed. And I'm actually happier now with my life. And I have fantastic people around me. And okay, I'm not a racing driver earning X, Y, Z, but I've had to rebuild my life. And there's nothing better than, inshallah, getting married, having a family, and giving the best, all this achievement, all these lessons I want to do, is give to my children at the end of the day. That's my goal in life. But I think the thing that will make me the most happy is my children, my family, my sisters, my mum, my parents, and then that's it.
I hope you achieve all your goal you aspire for. One more question.
Yes,
please just shortly tell us, what was the role of your parents in your journey?
The role of my parents. Yeah. My parents sacrificed everything for me. My mum sold all her jewelry from her wedding to get me through racing. My mum doesn't wear a wedding ring. Everything to get me started in go-karts. Yeah. So obviously, when you don't make it, you feel very guilty because your parents sacrificed so much, and then theoretically I didn't make it to Formula 1 in the end, right? But then at the end of the day, my dad and my parents, they told me something which is so much like, they're such good people, may Allah give them the highest rank in Jannah. They told me something, you know what, son? They told me a few months ago, you know what, son? We do it all over again. You know what I mean? We don't care. We'll do it. That's the beauty. Parents from all cultures, especially from our culture in South Asia, they're so loving, right? So if I can be even 10% of what my parents were to my kids, I don't have kids yet, but inshallah I will have kids. If I could be close to what my mum and my dad did, then that's what I'm happy with, and that same feeling I have with the drivers I have coming through. So then that's it. That's what I'm happy with. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Enaam Ahmed, for being here today.
You.
He's like a very busy man.
No, I'm not.
Do you have a question?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you can.
Please.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Rashman. I want to ask something like, how do you overcome, how do you keep yourself on the same track? Like sometimes you lose a championship and you think, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done with this. And how do you keep yourself on the same track?
So when you say keep yourself on the same track, do you mean keep yourself positive or what do you mean? Sorry, what do you mean exactly by that? Consistency.
Yeah.
Are you talking about when I came away from racing or while I was racing?
While racing, like you lose and you don't want to do this again. You don't want to do that.
Not giving up.
Again.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are many times when you just think it's not going to happen. You want to give up. To be honest, anyone that tells you okay, never give up, blah blah blah, blah, okay, fine, that's great. But no, there's many times where you're like, man, what the hell am I doing? Do you know what I mean? It's not going anywhere. But there's this side of humanity, where when you really truly fully rely on God, right, and you learn to laugh, right, when obstacles come your way, yeah. It doesn't matter what religion you are, right? When obstacles come your way, yeah, and no matter how bad they are, and you learn to laugh about it, and you're like, you know what? I know you're giving me this challenge now. I'll overcome it. There'll probably be another one, but it's okay. When you have that kind of relationship and you take everything lighthearted, yeah, because Allah always says he is what his servant thinks of him, right? And I always believe God always was nice to me and always did things in a funny way, right? So when obstacles did happen, and there was times where I wanted to stop and there was no way out. To be honest, I just took things every day at a time, one step at a time. So when you wake up in the morning, you focus on the tasks that you do in that day. And funny enough, I had a friend of mine recently that reminded me of that. And when you look sometimes too far ahead, you get overwhelmed. So let's say you have a bill to pay, right? And you have no money to pay it, right? If you look at that bill and it's like 3 weeks ahead, and it's a big number, you're going to be very worried all the time, right? But when you just take it one day at a time and you try and achieve something on that day, or whether it's with work or something, everything always falls into place one way or another. That's what I find.
Thank you very much.
You also have a question?
You also have a question?
It's okay. I have loads of time. We can ask questions.
Last question for you. Do you want to race anymore, or you just finish with everything? You have any will to race?
I always had the will to race. I came away from racing not because I wanted to, because at the time I had to. If there was a chance to come back, then I would, 100%.
I mean, not retired.
No, I'm semi-retired. I'm semi-retired.
Any more questions? No.
Hello, my name is Mohammed Shiraz. So I have a question like, who is your inspirational?
To be honest, in racing, I never looked up to anyone.
In your life?
In my life, but I always looked up to my parents.
Okay.
But in racing, because our religion also teaches us not to idolize people, right? Yeah. So I never really, it's not that I thought I was better than other people, but I always saw them as my equal. All men were equal. Oh, sorry, men and women, doesn't matter. Humans were equal, just to get that clear. Humans were equal, right? So whether you're Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton, doesn't matter. I never felt that you're better than me or I'm better than you. You were all equal in the eyes of God, and we all have flaws. So the only people that truly love you and do everything they can for you is your parents, right? So that's why I looked up for them, because that's unconditional love. No one else gives you unconditional love.
Is there any message for youngsters that some of them, as I saw in my country, so some of them, they give up, say they're fed up, we don't have a chance, we don't like financial issues. So do you have any messages for youngsters? In any field?
Yeah, I'll tell you something. So something I've always done, naturally, a little bit, because I was taught this. Terry Fullerton is an atheist guy, right? Doesn't believe in spirituality or anything. But he did tell me one thing when I was 13, and I've stuck to it. He said, whatever you go to sleep thinking about, you become. And it's so important. Now, in the Quran, Allah says He does not change the state of a people unless they change the state within themselves. So if you want to attract or you want to have success around you, you have to be in a position, in a state where you're ready to attract the success. So for example, when I was younger, before I was world champion, I used to see when I was going to sleep, myself becoming a world champion. And then I used to get the feeling of how excited I was seeing my parents give me a high five, my mum hug me, well done Enaam, blah, 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 all great. And then your subconscious actually gets imprinted. And then what happens is the subconscious will then change the world around you in a way, right, that opportunities come to you. I found whenever I'm in a negative mindset, right, and it's for a longer period of time, the opportunities don't come. But when the mindset and you become a person of positivity, always belief, always a can-do attitude, and that's the attitude of entrepreneur. Entrepreneur never gives up. Entrepreneur, no one believes in him probably till he's like 45, yeah, but he keeps going at the end of the day, right? And that's the most beautiful thing about life in humankind, because, you know, if you haven't got something to fight for, like I said, you have nothing to live for at the end of the day, right? So going to sleep, seeing what you want to happen, whether it's success in work, whether it's love, I'm telling you, if you see yourself and you feel that you're worthy of being loved, you will have someone or a wife or husband, whatever, girl or boy, whatever you are, that will love you, right? If you're coming from a state where you're lacking it, you will never attract the right partner in your life. Think about it. When you're talking to, from a boy's point of view, when you're talking to a woman, if you're coming from a space of neediness, yeah, and you don't feel you're worthy of being loved, they will never find you attractive. But if you're coming from a place of love and you're happy with yourself and you're confident within yourself and your belief, you attract so many more people around you. That's really important. Change the state of yourself and then watch how Allah will change everything around you and it falls into place. The biggest lesson I learned. Really important.
Thank you so much for coming, and best of luck to you for your future, yeah?
Thank you.
Any more questions? Thank you very much for coming today. Thank you very much for you guys to coming here today as well as the online audience. This is Bloomsbury Dialogue, and this is Bloomsbury Institute. Take care. See you next time. Cheers.
Thank you. And any more questions? I know we're offline. I'm happy with the answers. No problem. There's no problem. Thank you. Yeah, please. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Good, thanks. Thank you.
No, pleasure. So actually when I get connected, again, X Endeavor, we built up the space right now.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to see how it